Hello and welcome to my shop. Today's video is going to review of the Hurricane HTC125 wood turning chuck. I'm going to give my pros and cons, and we are also going to pop off the back plate so that we can see how this guy ticks. So stay tuned. Let's get started with the review. So my first impressions about this thing are that this is a heavy chuck. It's very heavy. Mass is a good thing in wood turning. Very heavy, very well made, sturdy, robust, all those good adjectives. Unfortunately, I can only compare it to my itty bitty Barracuda 2 chuck. Quite a bit bigger, as you can see. But this is a small form factor chuck. There's ordinarily like a 4-inch version that will come in the middle here. So it's very well made. The jaws are nicely concentric. I have the 2 and the 3 jaws. Both have worked very, very well for me. I took the time to set up my 3 jaws to be nicely concentric, and as I open them up and then close them again, you can see how they nicely fall together on a line. So both sets of jaws are very well made. The dovetails are your standard 7-degree profile, both on the 2 and the 3, so they're very easy to use. Well done from that respect. Let's see, another good thing is, the set screws. So if your lathe spindle has a shoulder on it, you will be able to lock your chuck down in place for any reverse sanding you need to do. So there are 2 set screws, one on either side of the spindle adapter. That's important so that after you thread it down, you can evenly apply pressure with both of the set screws. Otherwise, it's possible that your chuck will run out of center. So that works well. The back plate is good to keep dust out, as are the turning inserts here. They keep crap out. Whereas my Barracuda 2, it has a back plate, but the internals are open to the environment. There's always lots of dust buildup in here, so this is a good feature to have. Let's talk about a few negatives. The first negative, from what I've run into, is that the key is so long that it's often fairly awkward to use. Now, last weekend I did a number of 18-inch bowls, and it was nice having a long key because the bowl came out to here. However, for the majority of the work that I do is probably small stuff like boxes and such. So I'll be using the 2 jaws, and honestly, this huge key is just kind of awkward flopping around on top of the lathe. I would appreciate the option to have a shorter one available. Another drawback for the Hurricane 125 might just be the limited jaw options. I found that I tend to stick to standard short stubby jaws like this for everything that I do. And that's why I got this chuck, because I have, for my Barracuda, I have some longer profile jaws, as well as like the pin jaws and the step jaws, and I just don't use them. So that's why I was okay getting the Hurricane, because the limited jaw availability wouldn't really affect me. Another example is that there used to be a set of cold jaws available for the 125, and they're no longer available for purchase. Hurricane does produce cold jaws for their HTC100 chuck, just not the 125. And there are step and pin jaws available for this one, and I may or may not get those someday. But if you compare the number of jaw sets available to the Hurricane as compared to manufacturers like Technitool with their Nova series, I mean, there's no comparison. There's a crazy amount of jaws available, especially for the Nova series. But I haven't found that to be an issue, and I may or may not, because I just size everything to fit, a 2 or a 3 tenon. I'm not looking to grab random pieces of wood all the time. So that's it for my pros and cons. The pros far outweigh the cons. The chuck is inexpensive. It presents a very good value. And when you just need a big hunk of steel to hold a big hunk of wood, I think this is a really good bet. So let us pop off the spindle adapter and the face or the back plate and see what this thing looks like. So the Hurricane uses a tapered insert. So to get it out, first you need to select the right Allen key. That's important. 3mm, not a 4. And basically use the pull down screws for the Morse taper to work in the opposite direction, and you use them to push the taper out of the chuck body. It's pretty clever. So these 3 screws, they serve to hold the adapter down into the taper, and when you install it, you iteratively tighten the screws slowly and evenly, pulling the taper down into the body. A little bit like how you would put on lug nuts on a car wheel. You don't do them all at once. So now there's 2 other holes for us. It's going to be, which ones? These 2. Yes, basically you pick the ones that are threaded on the insert, not in the chuck body. And so what you do is you just reef these 2 guys down evenly again, forcing the adapter out of the body. So they turn for a little bit, and then basically you get them down to where they touch. There's one. There's the other. And now you just go maybe a quarter turn at a time. You don't want to get this thing cockeyed. And eventually, taper just kind of pops out. There it is. It's loosening off. It's very easy to do. There. All right. Spindle adapter is out. Now, screwdriver. We'll pop off this back plate. There it is, the insert of inside of my 125. It's nice to see that there is 0 dust inside. It's pretty much pristine. Now granted, I've only been using this thing for a month, so eventually dust might make its way in there, but it is nice that this thing is relatively sealed up. I recently had the back plate off of the Barracuda. Actually, let's pop the back plate off. And I had to clean out a whole bunch of dust from the inside of this thing. So it's not really protected. So first there's an assumption on my part. And my assumption is that both of these chucks are made in the same factory. The back plate markings are absolutely the same. These decorative lines around the outside of the chuck are the same. Everything is frankly the same on these 2, except for the size difference. But that's cool. I don't mind. The chucks are inexpensive and well made. I'm not going to quibble on that respect. So you can see how the Barracuda works. Basically, you insert the tool in, and the tip on the tool rides into a hole there, and it operates it. Whereas on the Hurricane, basically the tip of the same tool is kind of already permanently mounted in there, and then you just actuate that geared part. Works very well. So, if you're curious to see what your Hurricane looks like on the inside, here it is. It comes with plenty of grease. It has a nice smooth action to it. Let me give it a couple turns. Well, that will do it for this video. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. Thanks.